Amorim United is confirmed, and it's now been said when it will be announced by the club and everybody and when he will come in. We will confirm the details on that. But Ruud van Nistelrooy is set to stay under Amorim. Van Nistelrooy speaks out, but Rene Hake could be leaving. So what is the latest on Amorim? Who's coming in? Who are the coaches? And why have Man United chosen Amorim? What are the similarities between Ineos's plans and recruitment and Amorim and him coming in to work as a head coach? Also, players have spoken out about Ten Hag, revealed what they really thought about Ten Hag, and stories about the lack of smiling under Ten Hag. We knew the leaks were going to come out. There's a few leaks about the relations with the SEG agency, Amorim's transfer plans, and more. So please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. It'd be much appreciated. We're on that road to 100,000 subscribers. I'm on 96,488 subscribers. So I'm 12 subscribers away from 96.5k. But let's get right into the video. So, we're going to get through the Ruben Amorim news really quickly because I think you've heard enough of it. Ruben Amorim can be considered the new Manchester United manager. Documents to be signed this week. €10 million lease clause plus €1 million for staff and a 30-day notice. Ruben Amorim is expected to be officially confirmed tonight, says Sky. Now, it essentially is officially confirmed, but Portuguese sources are saying they will officially confirm it Saturday or Friday night after his next game, as he does not want any distractions. It was then said that Rene Hake's position at the club is in doubt following the sacking of Ten Hag. We know that Rene Hake and Ruud van Nistelrooy are both brought in under Ten Hag. Ten Hag wanted both of them, but we know Ineos were a lot more keen on Ruud van Nistelrooy because of his connections to the club and what he'd done at PSG than Rene Hake, who'd worked with Ten Hag at Go Ahead Eagles. But because basically Ineos played Erik Ten Hag around in the summer, they led him on for 3 weeks. He didn't know if he was going to stay or go. Ten Hag wasn't happy, so Ineos were working really hard to please Erik Ten Hag because they messed him around in the summer. And maybe they should have just got Amorim in the summer in the first place. But, that's a conversation for a live stream. I think they did make sure to get Rene Hake in and please Ten Hag, and I wouldn't be surprised if he left because he was particular for Ten Hag. Van Nistelrooy was actually Ten Hag's recommendation, but Ineos were very much on board and behind that because of his relationship with the club. Now, Ruud van Nistelrooy, I hope he stays at least to the end of the season. I think he's a really good manager, assistant manager, and I think from the reports that we've heard about how he has a good relationship with the players, and the players feel a lot closer to Van Nistelrooy than they did to Mitchell van der Gaag, and how he can communicate better. I think Ruud could be a good person to keep around. Ruud van Nistelrooy himself said, "I'm motivated to stay at United. I will go back to my assistant contract that I have here for the season. The next season I came as assistant to help the club, and I'm still motivated to do so in any capacity." Ruud van Nistelrooy himself wants to work under Amorim, and there is reports from Portugal saying that Amorim is open to working with Ruud van Nistelrooy. Amorim will look to bring in his whole coaching team in, but he would also be happy to work with Ruud van Nistelrooy. I think someone like Ruud van Nistelrooy can see it as a really good learning opportunity. Manage PSV, goes to United, he can learn from Ten Hag, he can learn from Amorim, and then I think Van Nistelrooy may go off and take another managerial job. Continuing on into some more Amorim news. It was said that Sporting were determined to keep Ruben Amorim for this crucial period until the break, and United agreed due to their desire for a smooth start. He will take charge of the first game against Ipswich. United are paying €1 million on top of Amorim's clause to start working during the break. Sporting want €5 million for immediate release from his 30-day notice period. There will be additional compensation for staff members. I think because we're releasing him halfway through the notice period, we've got the price down. It was then said that Ruben Amorim will be announced after Sporting's game on Friday, and he will clarify the situation regarding his move to United. So I think we'll get an initial announcement at the weekend, despite Sky claiming it's tonight. I think it makes sense. Sporting are like, yeah, we'll lower the fee, and you can have them after like 14 days, because then that gives Sporting 2 weeks to find a replacement, and then they'll lower the fee. And then I think that works for us, because having Ruud van Nistelrooy for Chelsea, PAOK, and Leicester, that's 3 games. Other than Chelsea will be difficult. The other 2 games are winnable. Having Ruud van Nistelrooy manage 4 games on an interim basis isn't the end of the world. I think I wouldn't want to rush Amorim in for the Chelsea game, get off to a bad start versus Chelsea. This gives Amorim a little bit of time to assess the situation going on. This gives Amorim, the international break to get to know the players and install something. It just probably makes it a bit easier. And first game against Ipswich, second game I think is Bodo Glimt, so I think it could be good for Amorim. I want to talk a little bit about Amorim, and then we're going to go into the Ten Hag news and some of the leaks coming out. So these were some interesting statistics. So no side in Portuguese first tier has fielded a younger average 11 than Sporting this season. They've also won 9 out of 9 games and scored 30 and conceded twice this season. They're having an unbelievable season. I also want to mention that Porto and Benfica are sort of seen as the powerhouses in Portuguese football, and Amorim's obviously got Sporting back up there. He took Sporting over when they were 4th in the league, which was really bad for Sporting, and then 13 months later he won them their first league title in 19 years. He is good at picking up a club. He's had to adapt to losing so many key players, Nunes, Palhinha, Agate, and still his midfield pivot works well. His fullbacks and midfield pivot have been players that a lot of big clubs have signed, Porro, Nuno Mendes as well. They seem to do really well, and he seems to get the best out of players in those positions. So that will be really exciting at Manchester United. A manager that can adapt after losing key players. But of course, we know that Man United will need a few transfers, need new signings. It's going to be a long-term project, but it'd be interesting to see how he works as a head coach with the likes of Dan Ashworth. It was also said that Jose Mourinho believes Manchester United will be hiring the best manager in Portugal, Ruben Amorim, and Mourinho insists Amorim never changes his approach regardless of the operation, and his tactics provide depth for the wingers and striker. He described his style as always intense, which is something we could struggle with. Now, if Luke Shaw could stay fit, I think he'd work well under Amorim, but Luke Shaw can't stay fit. So I think United needs to go out and get a left back in January. For me, I think the most important thing we can get is to get someone that can play left back, left wing back in January. I think we could see Garnacho there. I honestly do. Portuguese sources believe Ten Hag's system was not conducive to Agate's strengths, and he should be more effective in the 3-4-3 formation that Amorim favours. I think Ten Hag's formation would have been fine if he utilised Agate and Maino the right way, but he didn't. He was running them out to dry. I think Agate had similarities to previous Ten Hag number 6s, but Ten Hag clearly didn't really like Agate. Maybe, sort of had Amorim in the back of the mind when they brought Agate in, because remember, if we go back to reports from The Athletic in the summer, it was said that Ten Hag wanted to keep McTominay, didn't want to sign Agate. We know all the signings Ten Hag had was like, yeah, I want him. With Agate, that was all Ineos. It wasn't Ten Hag. So maybe the fact it was all Ineos was Ineos saying, well, we could get Amorim in. This is how we want to play. This is, if we sat Ten Hag, we've got Agate there. Maybe Ineos were long-term planning for it. Who knows? Continuing on as well, the players speak on Ten Hag's exit. Delot actually spoke out publicly about Ten Hag's exit, and then we've got some leaks coming out about players and how they feel in regards to Ten Hag's exit. Delot on Ten Hag's departure. Yes, it's sad. He's someone who loves football. That's what he loves the most. It's football. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Wish him the best, and we thank him for what he did. He helped me a lot. He helped me settle into the club, and he helped give me confidence. We won 2 trophies. We'll keep the good memories, says Delot. I think Delot had a good time on the Ten Hag, but I think this season, open goal miss versus West Ham, he's not been at his best. I think like Mazraoui, De Ligt, Lissandro Martinez, Delot, I think a Garnacho, Højlund are probably some of the players that did really like Ten Hag, and are sad he's gone. But I think a lot of the other players are quite relieved that Erik Ten Hag's gone, and that's what we're sort of hearing in leaks. There was no humour in such an intense environment. Players and staff can do with a laugh every now and then, by all accounts, but Ten Hag lacked the sort of charm and charisma players often responded to. The problem around Man United is we weren't just bad on the pitch, but there was apparently like a bad environment in and around Carrington. Not everybody was happy. And I think, and I don't like to say this, but you could see the players smiling now that Ten Hag had been sacked. You could see Ahmad with a little smile on his face. You could, in that last game, and then if you saw him 2 games earlier when he was coming on, he looked absolutely fuming. Højlund and Agate walking in with big smiles on their face, and I think Højlund wouldn't have wanted Ten Hag sacked, but I felt that there was a mood about the Man United players. They were happy. They wanted Ten Hag sacked. It was like a weight was lifted under their shoulder. And I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy is a miracle man, but I think it was a bit like Mourinho, where the players were so fed up towards the end of Mourinho, it really affected the performances, that maybe we do get a bit of a new manager bounce. Because I felt that while Ten Hag's tactics weren't good enough, I felt that there was definitely something. The players probably thought he was going to be gone at the end of the season, and they go into this season, he's still here. I think there could be a little bit of a lift there. Erik Ten Hag himself was convinced up in the cellar, telling his closest confinements he expected to leave after the FA Cup final victory versus City. And of course he expected to leave. He got no information from Ineos for 3 weeks. He knew they were going out and talking to other managers. You'd think you were probably leaving, and then they come back, they surprise him, and because they come back, they're like, okay, we'll get you this guy, we'll get you that guy. Like, how are we going to please you? Of course he was expecting to leave. And then lastly, but not least, I just wanted to get into a few sort of briefs going about. I hope the Wi-Fi hasn't gone. Apparently it's lagging. But Keys Voss, founder of SEG, was a regular at United's training ground, striding around facilities almost as if he was part of the staff. Those close to the situation suggest that Ten Hag's overbearing influence and that of SEG on United's recruitment went unchecked for too long. I mean, I'm not going to talk too much on that. I don't really know the finer details because players like Hoyland weren't SEG and then we just changed them to SEG to get them to sign. Maybe Ten Hag had a close relationship with SEG players. He knew them better because of his agency, maybe pushed for them. But I'm not going to dig too deep into that. But Anthony, Casemiro, Eriksen and Lindelof will be made available for transfers at United under Amorim. Amorim and Lindelof actually played together weirdly. Eriksen, he's having a good season but out of contract. Casemiro, I think, could benefit under Amorim this season, but because of his wages and his age, United will look to move on. I think Anthony will be gone. There is talk of him as a left wing back, but he's not good enough defensively. He's not good enough going forward. I think he'll be moved on. Guys, that is the end of this 10-minute news roundup. Please do go ahead and hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching today's video. See you next time. Bye.